This is Chariot.
Hello, welcome to Chariot TV. This is your favorite program, Apologetica, and I'm your host, Derek Danso. When you hear your show, we say so. You pensem so nyanko poncho semu. You fan churo semu. Ni ebi say your questions are. Untai enti wa bonten na unya anu ye easily. Eno ene no discuss it on apologetic. Now when your show so ene no. Sene da wudim no ye the guest wakwadre yie Bible mu ene abefo adisuam na aboa ye metumi nyanti ase wo nwema yesuam yie na ene show na ye ba be no woni baji mu yie pa yeguso discuss religion and science na me wo me guest our preacher wo committee 8 and 9 Church of Christ wa bi yie pa se waka hu yesuam de a unse ya take note yie pa na owomenche ene na ene ansa na yede ne beba na yedi nkomo no topic ayesua no God is it fact or fad topic ni ye God fact or fad ene obechirechire mu na brofo kese we say ayehwe no wa breaking it down aboa ma obia atiase me wo Mr. Jonathan Mensah Bonsu our preacher committee 8 and 9 Church of Christ ye nchen preacher emo akwaba
ya enua
hwan efe pa
medase onso hwan efe
medase na se apomboko de
apomboko na say
nyankopon adaroma ene ye discuss the existence of God the existence no is a fact and I say a fad na brofo kese mienu we ubegwa me breaking it down ntina mesre mi bisa se yankoma ye di no na no ye de to aso enne no na ye hwe biblical faith say blind and I say fact say blind and I say blind na ye hwe ni sa akwan so na ye bisa say ye gitum say nyankopon wo ye evidence
okay medasi omenfa akonya so na menchia watiefo ene wahwefo nyina ewo nyoma yisia ho ya sha ase senior kan no ye the religion ana ye the science ato nchen ɛhɔ ne ahwɛ sɛ sɛ womienu no ɔmo nhyiae bia na ɔmo ko etia ɔmo ho ana yɛadwene ho ahunu sɛ daabi ɛnte saa ɔmo nam bom nokorɛ nimdeɛ ɛne Bible mu nimdeɛ no saa pɛpɛ ɔmo nyinaa nam bom ɔmo nyinaa atamfo enti ɛno mu ne yɛahwehwɛ mu ara na sɛnea na wɔka no yɛkɔhwehwɛ biribi ɛfa gyidie ho sɛ Bible ka sɛ gyidie a deɛ yɛtwe a atwefo agency sɛ ne yɛka sɛ gyidie a na deɛ yɛka ne sɛ katawani na fa ho to biribi so close your eyes na I mean not a leap in the dark kind of faith but name yɛka gyidie a faith that is evidence based gyidie a nneɛma ɛta akyiri ɔwɔ nyinasoɔ gyidie a ɛgyina biribi so nti sɛ obi bɛgye Nyankopɔn adi a na deɛ Nyankopɔn ɛhwɛ fi ne ho no sɛ obɛnya gyidie a nyinasoɔ wɔ mu na saa na Bible no ɛhwɛ sɛ yɛyɛ Kristofoɔ yɛyɛ sɛ gyidie no bɛyɛ gyidie a ɛwɔ nyinasoɔ na ɛno na atwe asɛmbisa ba mu sɛ then does God exist Nyankopɔn koraa wɔ hɔ and mame ni nkan ɛntwe wadwe nyina so sɛ ɛne atiefo adwe nyina so sɛ that question is the most important question of everything. Say you see we are depends on your answer to that question. Say we are not say there be then the whole lot of things have to change. You know be have to move away. Then that would mean say Nyoma you say right and wrong are community decided issues. Nipa na ehiem na ya decide say well nipa kum boni. But when you see, those things are decided by these things. Okay. And as they are preferences and our values. I said, will be a call baby a ton cars baby. Now her cars they go on Toyota or is you know Hyundai or now be any other car brand car be but you taste. You taste now cars well me Toyota cars, me Benz. A taste preferences. In the morality, when there is no God, then morality now becomes a preference. Say will be a value system. Say well, me Jesus say we those things now coming because there is no God. Obi so say okasa Nyankopon will be asio no. His view also now have to change. His view has to change on the ground. Say that morality is not matter of preference view. Nemo decided by a being, a supreme being. Obi na what you can share at all. So I have to comply to that. And a whole lot of things have to, even how you relate with things that you have to change. Because I would say you are no more, you are like equally, you are like dog. Then definitely how I will view human life will change. See how you view human life changes. Essentially, the Western world now, how they view human life is totally different. The akrash yanyemobia it mean abortion ikuno, but the okun aboa man say aboa bi ayani bu na nkosua ho na okose no itimi de oko police station say o extend aboa no you work also extension of the animal na ya jail or na say ya final. See, that is how the question is, does God exist? And that is the foundation. It's a foundational question. Say once you know, then the whole Bible has to be thrown away. The answer is no. If you come to that conclusion, the answer is because Genesis 1:1 says, in the beginning, God exists. Yeah. God created heaven and earth in the beginning. Indeed, if you answer the question, no, God does not exist, then it means the whole Bible has to be thrown away. It's of no value to us anymore. Indeed, it's a foundational issue. But Yende said, God exists. God exists. And he has evidence. There are evidences that push us to believe that. And yet superstition.
But yeah. Preacher, me say the okaniya, not just per what you are saying, we have evidence.
Yes.
Strong evidence,
yes.
Not just evidence, so strong one that suggests and confirms say ane nyankopon.
Yes.
Okay, now my main call in several kind no na me bi bisa o say mi fa ho. Na say sanet here dia ene na question a me pese me bisa fa wa asem ne ho ni say enti obi decide say nyankopon ni wa o bede obi so decide nyame o no so o bede. Because from the organ, okay, obi are burden to carry because say oka say nyame ni wa. That means how then do you decide the things you decide? o ideologies best sign and I would to mun so a best sign anything a money foundational question.
Yes.
Now society how do we determine say okay well I think maybe sir in the subsequent as part of questions and maybe sir but who can evidence say you will evidence say nature not of science evidence no. Can you help us understand?
Okay, so that's it. But before I can't nature no ask see now we can say a foundational question. The question of does God exist? A foundational. You take that question of baby I would be pose a different ball game altogether. Say you be you all have our view. And so if the question does God exist? Now Onipa say well God does not exist. How are the punishment we are different from a person who says there is God? That those two things are different. We all see Nyankopon ni hono. I had to say one French philosopher said because if there's no God, then everything is permissible. Everything. Bibia limited is the mind of man. See, the nipa betia adwene susu edru na the limit. But everything is permissible. Right and wrong is now preference. Oh, a foundation.
I think based on that, then there will be chaos.
Yes, a foundational question say, see, and it's not a matter of we cannot know. I mean, also quickly, and we cannot know. It's not the agnostic position.
I was about asking.
Yes, we cannot know, or it's not an important question. It's not something we should discuss. No, it's something we should discuss. It's something we should find the truth to. Because if there is God, then it's a whole issue on its own. Then there has to be right and wrong. They will determine right and wrong.
Yeah.
If it's determining right and wrong, then there has to be a reward for doing good and a punishment for doing evil.
Yeah.
Oh, reward, all these things now will come into the picture. But if there is no God, and I will be because there is God, then it also poses another issue. Say then we are deceiving people. Yenya ni pana onye di opesa way. More of like you nipa she box with the nipa she box telling the person say there is an invisible being out there, and also control also she box. Meanwhile, there is no being out there. So it means there's a Nyankopon ni ho and nipa Nyankopon she nipa Yankwa she from say Nyankopon wa. Then it means we are restricting nipa. So the question has to be discussed. It has to be looked at. And say it's not is that God exists. No, it has existed so many years. It has been debated. It has been written about. There's a lot about the issue on does God exist. Back and forth since. And say back on your question. Say what is the nature of the evidence?
Yeah.
Say, does God exist? And we have evidence. See, most people, particularly in those people who affiliate themselves with the science, those who affiliate themselves, well, me a scientist and things like that. Omudin said, what we are talking about is that you can go into the lab, maybe pour this chemical, and therefore God exists. Because your mouth liquid, and that's your mouth solution. Now all the litmus paper too much, then it turns this color. Then by the turning of the litmus paper color, then it means that that is how we can ascertain God. And I said maybe you go to where there's a telescope or something, then you look into the skies and think, say, well, if God exists, then if we look to the skies, look, therefore we can find God. See, most people have that view. That is how at times if you read religious TV so they don't have knowledge about religion much, but make a commentary on religion. At times you say heaven was true and earth was form. Therefore you tutu for more you cost and you heaven. See that thinking off. See off. When we are saying that there is God evidence for God's existence, we are not talking about empirical evidence. Some of the previous videos they pointed out to say there are all sorts of evidence at our disposal. One of them is deductive reasoning. Yeah. Deductive reasoning is not empirical evidence. Deductive reasoning say, because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that, therefore, this has to exist.
Then even if I must ask or say.
Yes.
Then even say for say every time we are talking about evidence, we are looking at scientific stuff. Then it's like we are throwing so many years of philosophy under the bus, which is
not only just philosophy, a lot of studies,
yes,
a lot of branch of knowledge.
So sometimes I say we project the whole idea like science is the only way of
knowing truth. I see so many people, they think that science is the only way of doing truth. Why? Because science is giving us the automobile, science is giving us the phone, science is giving us everything at our disposal. Everything, maybe it's here, you know. A lot of things around us and things that are transmission, it's as a result of science.
Yeah.
And but science is not the only way of knowing truth. And science is not the ultimate in a sense. Science don't have limits. You see, there's limit to things that science. There's a extent science can go.
Yeah.
There's a extent the science can go. Oh, and then they actually say empirical evidence. They actually say they are deductive reasoning. Because of the things that we are seeing now, because of this and this and this has to occur. That is deductive reasoning. Another form of evidence we employ on our say to show, to see that there is God, is a credible witness. The last time I spoke about credible witness. That credible witness here, another evidence. You see, you call court, na onya someone, judges say, bring in your witness. Bringing in witness, does not mean say you are going to repeat adequacy there. You are bringing in someone who witnessed, who saw adequacy, the say adequacy. Then what the judges will call for is a cross-examination. They will cross-examine the person, whether he is credible, as someone who can correct. Say then it means that his evidence is accepted in court. And the same thing the person see Nyankopon Hebrew chapter 1 verse number 1 say until there are people see, there are people who experience certain things in the world that we are not experiencing now. Yeah. Some also actually evidence for us now living to be able to understand and believe that there is God. In the nature of evidence now, it is not empirical. It is things like deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, credible witness. Those things, and that is the nature of evidence we are talking about.
And me dasipa we dey order for say share we Chariot TV apologetic ana ugusu a wo hwe na discuss God fact or fact. Na the tie ne say order for say won subscribe to YouTube channel now. Bo modern your YouTube channel connect subscribe. Sa Facebook page nso unya like ya ye ni sisie ya ansa na to adwumedie nso. Na the main encourage you say send your comments, send your questions, send also a contribution here. Faka ho na nkomo no enye de ye nyina ene ye di sa nkomo yi. Na ye wo Mr. Jonathan Mensah bozo ye nche di sa nkomo we di e. Mesro pa questions ni nyina fabra ye beboa na ye yi ano e wo sa kwan so. Na ye to nkomo ne so no na me bisa say ye ka say fact or fad no wetimi abo anu mu kakra. Ye ka say fact na fad na adena brofo kakra ka we me share metie bo bo se be chire buti adena brofo kakra ka we ni yafade ye ni hunahuna manfo ana se sen na de ni ye
me nyini se the trust adena mutaye no but ye ka say factor it means or actual or real or it's a fact. And see a fact, me myself, my existence is a fact. Okay. I exist by that.
Your people who claim we can't even know whether we are even dreaming. All these things we have been having, all this. So what if say that way? Obeda so no be with yeah. Sana ya come school ya hwe nyina be si ene nyina ya.
The easiest way of trying to show the person say sad na kasa onyi say let the person stand on a railway. Not train him right. Say person even just say that.
Okay.
Say we are training one of those in that.
Okay. Mati de okana ugo dina.
Let's say
always so I don't worry say
you might they are philosophers who believe that we are living in a world where it's not real. The real world is somewhere, but we are less living in some sort of world is not real, it's not tangible, things that we see, but no, it's not. It's a real world. Our existence is fact. One person will test to say, really you exist. Just stand on a road. Not car. Those people who believe that won't do that. No, they say, well, I see, so that will be the TV. Just stand on the road near here. But people won't do that. Indeed, that's the meaning of the word fact, that you actually exist. Fact is, at somewhere, I say, nipa kaka, na nipa ni jehu, nipa di jehu, but actually, that's no basis. It's without basis, any base. It's a fact. Until it fades away. See, with time. Indeed, most people think that the concept of God originates with the man. Until nipa baby, and then the person started thinking, becoming religious, then God is God. Indeed, it is a creation of man. No. Indeed, that is the side of the fact. People who believe that religion are all creation of men, God, concept of God are invention of men to deceive men and things like that. That is how they view religion as they are fast. They are things that
somebody said it in this way. Maybe you have a comment on that. This person says Christians and those who believe in religion, we are holding on to something called spaghetti God. Or say, I say, Obiara culture, or say, spaghetti be. I think this example, I first heard it from Dan Barker, one of the foremost atheists that were America. Say, spaghetti God be na, and then married bachelor.
Yeah. Well,
and as I said, God, ye married bachelor, and I to say, or a square circle. So, how do you respond to this? Say, how would you define this God that you can want to me? And some I heard evidence say in this.
Okay. Well, that is from the atheist standpoint, in the way of disproving God's existence. They think that, and it's true, the logic is right. The logic of it is right in the sense, idea in of itself is a contradiction, it's false. You see, idea it's contradicting itself, is false. So if whether it's their propositions or whether they are statements, you see, their statements, if it is contradicting, self-contradictory, they don't exist, they are false. And the same thing, it applies to being, being. Look at something like fairies. You see, we see them in cartoons.
Yeah.
But we actually don't believe that those things
fairies, no, my audience in the crew because it will be cartoons, no, Tom and Jerry and
okay. Those magical creatures are
as a Harry Potter bizarre or Yana and
fairy godmothers. I mean, they create only magic, those things. And I say they are centaurs. So when you centaur, half man, half goat, or half man, half.
They ask no throw ponko.
Those things. Yes.
Okay. Forbidden movie bizarre.
They are contradicting they have a contradictory nature. So they believe that those things are because of their contradiction. That logic is because of their contradiction, they don't exist. So that they try to apply the same to God, that God in of itself, the concept of God is self-contradictory. That, as I said, the reasoning is right, just that if you apply it to God, it doesn't work. But the reasoning is right on any proposition or anything we can think of. Self-contradiction.
So in this case, how then would you define this God?
Yes. Well, when you look at the Bible portrays God, as we know, is as a being. Or a being in personality, or a mind. You see, or a mind, or a person. That is the idea. You see, that is the first thing I say. So the second thing is we see some attributes with God. One, or you're all powerful. That is something we know from the Bible. Two, or you're all loving. Three, or you're omnipresent, or exist everywhere. You see. These are attributes and things that free within God.
Preacher, these attributes you are given, are they coming from our understanding of what the Bible reveals about God?
Yes.
Because a camera say maybe that because a camera say even omo say nyankopon e wo ho. Anytime me ka say me ba Ghana, omo from 80s or Ghana. Uni ebi wudi nkomo pa some of mutai ka kire me ne say ye nyankopon no a ye nim no Bible mu no onte ase but the traditional African god no on your. But anytime we are only say omo kasa bia omo ka kire say description of omo god no, they pick the attribute of the god in the Bible.
Yes.
Until na me bisa say you define who God is.
Yes.
Because omo say enye nyankopon no. So all the characteristics is just the God in the Bible.
Yes. That's how but I mean in some sense their God what they don't exist. See what our RME and people have been calling lesser gods are not God. See, the Bible portrayed them as evil spirits. They are not gods. God no, eternal okay. Being. That is only beginning, only end.
Okay.
Or eternal being. And you cannot have polytheism existing. You can't have two eternal gods in that sense there. Like Greek mythology.
Yeah.
See, they have gods, they are all distinct personalities, different, they are different. You see, Zeus, the attributes, they are na ho de nko ana Apollo so de wo yenko na ho de nko Thor de wo yenko na ho de see those kind of thinking can't now that's not the picture the Bible portrayed. The Bible portrayed God as a being that exists, and in fact God is nature. Because God is nature, I meant God is not a personality. Say God enye obi di like Jonathan. Is he not like that? Maybe a human. A better example of it that I say I'm human. That's
nature.
That's my nature. So that is the humanness. That's what I make a God. So because a God, that's what I mean. I'm not talking about someone's personal name, someone's the first name.
I just say maybe sana say the nature of animal, the nature of human being.
Yes.
Even birds cry the nature of birds, the nature of fish.
Yes.
Fish into me too, but birds to me too.
Good.
Into nature.
Good. That is what I make see that nature. The who of Bible no say is eternal or eternal. The who in Bible no say or you're all powerful. The who in Bible no say or you're all loving. The who in Bible no say or you're all just. See, the atheists in the time trying somewhere say they will try picking these attributes and create a scenario.
And can be baby sir.
Yes.
I say how can an all loving God be all just?
They try creating a scenario where they think it will contradict. Mostly what they overlook and they say. Don't think about other attributes. He said, God now who say, oh yeah, all loving. Can say, or say, all just. So, for instance, let's take Jesus' case. For instance, it portrays God's love, God's justice at play. In the sense of, you see, the justice of God has to come to play. That He has to destroy man. Also, God's love also has to come to play. Say also or creating a place, a remedy for God, but to satisfy God's justice, to satisfy God's love and things, then there has to be an atonement that can satisfy God and remedy at the cry. That is by Him sending His own Son to come and die on the cross.
No, yeah.
So we can.
Oh yeah, the young man said that they have all the fire so there be do horror.
So I think that's
Intina se sanity dia me pese o kan ahase no last week so make bisa na o kan say we my evidence.
Yes.
Inti you bet me hwe sa evidences ni bi.
Yes, but before that, the Bible Bible no actually I say that God asks us to go and search for Him, or God give us evidence of His existence.
Okay.
You see, in Romans chapter 1, last time I shared Romans chapter 1, verse number 20. No?
Romans 1:20.
Yes.
For since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
You see, Paul and Kasafa send nipa bra asiaye na de otwe nipa adwendina so nam Nyankopon abufu a ebe nipa so no ana wo kire why a Nyankopon abufu obe nipa so bo say Nyankopon ne da tumi si tumi a Nyankopon wo no ne nyame suo no ada di e wo niam a waye. So from Romans chapter 1 Paul emiati ase say ye hwe niam a Nyankopon aye wo wiase a things are you around, though we don't see God Himself, but we see footprints of God in the things He has made. We see His power in the things we have made. To look at things and for someone to come to the conclusion that there is no God, it's amazing according to this text. Because he's saying that then he can come to the conclusion that there is God. And that is the thinking the person Ethiopia said, say yes, God exists, is to look into nature. Say, well, a mind may be about God. And son, then there is a God. Acts chapter 13 14.
Acts chapter 14.
Yes.
Verse number
17.
Acts 14:17. This is what the scripture says. Odofo we dey say uguso ahwe ya ebesre say obekoto anu ahwe program yi ama afoforo invite obi biara no ono so ntumi nya akwanya na omehwe say later no abahwe video we nso a ohwe wi a na obomoden na ahwe ama afoforo na yentumi reaching as many as we can with this no cry channel. Acts 14:17.
Yes.
Nevertheless, he did not leave himself without witness.
The he there is God. You see, in Acts chapter 14 was a city Lystra, where Paul and Barnabas echo in Mokanyamisem, Nanyamisem Bible tell me at say, almost a yamia but the party be a musisi. Now, I feel almost a more for Yamo. Now, Paul corrected that thinking said Zeus and Apollos and things, Hermes and things, they don't exist. But they kind of want someone know or existing. And I Paul say, Sanya me, I kind of want some material. Yes, sir. What we're feeling, we are here when you're the footprint. He didn't leave himself without witness, without evidence. I bet me a man who ne chili quine. No, I should know. Dinyakopono eja na chiri kwan hwehwe oho a onipa betimi ahwehwe na chiri akwan no hu nyame sana Paul pese ye kire na to aso kakra ma me.
Okay, to us I'll say verse 17 into us one. In that he did good, gave us rain from heaven and fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness.
Yes, osma for no say the why ne say why ye say o my dance you eto na afi o sa hye aduane mo de aduane e man edi isi adwen ne say nyankopon ebo wiase no he left witness a testimony down here ye betimi ahwehwe eno no so na yetimi ehunu nyankopon akira kwan nti bible no constantly point teaching say so nipa ba conclusion say nyankopon bi ni wiase it is simply because the person is not looking at the evidence. Again, why nyankopon ayatopon on person obehwe. The idea is not say nyankopon so why you mu kire me. That is not the idea. The Bible don't encourage that. Say oh to one say well say okay God exists. So if God exists and then God needs show up.
I don't know whether you have answered the question I'm yet to ask, because normally people say that say anka your discussion can the short form of the discussion and they say also nyankopon wa munya sentrene ne ehwe ana say nyankopon kro na no eno anso no ankasa nka yeshu ya no akasa mema menie na nka tuika. But
yeah, that is the thinking of most people. Say if there is God, where is God? See, if God, where is God? God know him. You see that thinking, the Bible no encourage that. Bible no encourage say so person who nyankopon akira kwan then pray say nyankopon empie enyi no hwadi kira. That is the thinking of Pentecostalism, charismatics. You see say you hwadi che per say you wo that's not the thinking. Nyankopon wa yi ne hwadi akire e wona sem your person you wa twa mai ene e wo niam a wa ye nti obi person o hwe na kira kwan na onyi ni say nyame wo ho a he should look at the evidence. He doesn't need to say obama nyankopon asa aba biom abeyi ne hwadi actually say nyankopon miamini
eluka de omudi Yesu Kristo Yesu say sa generation we pensation but on pa bia ma eje de na esi etwemu no
yes
eno no de be mo so I think it's
yes and the Bible constantly teach that nipa person ohwa ohunu nyankopon akira kwan nipa na hwehwe na se nyankopon no afi onyi ne ho adi nkyere nipa no say okay ene me nyankopon me wo ho nti say na me pese mu me say na metie na hana metie no not that thinking. But Bible only enjoying say yenhwe niyama nyankopon ayemu if you say nyankopon obo wiase no he did not leave himself without witness. It is there. Hebrews chapter 3, verse number 4.
Hebrews 3, verse number 4. Hebrews 3, verse 4. Onyankopon asem esie nie. I say, for every house is built by someone, but he who built all things is God.
Yes, you see, that stands first with the Ebeka Hwasem evidence. I mean, ebe dream you kakra. Hebrew 12 want to say, so now who say a dime this wa. Obi de see. For every house is built by someone.
Yeah.
See, a maxim. It's so obvious to everyone. Obi always see about India. Who say car this wa is Obi na see. Who say win. Hebrew 12 want to say, and if you be an independent see. Now you see a day nyame. If you be working out now, who be if you be any panesi, you might look at the design of the house. Not say, wow, the designer is very good. You see, you'll see diamond nice or good, but you'll see a day nyame. Interestingly, there was one. I think he was a scientist, Benjamin Franklin, and I call an international conference, and now is filled with 80s so much. Nti okoye no ana okura the model of a solar system. The solar system you no okura the model say why na kia ketwa
kasana
obia something like that model ana o present na nkofonic ebon about wow that's the good designer the oye no why or nice designer or intellect or a very good designer. Ana Benjamin Franklin business said, then what about the one who created the real stuff? See, why you quickly say well, but why are you denying the one who really created the real stuff? The real stuff in the US, say a chance and a creative. But what about where the is one and no replica, a small model, model cry, it doesn't fully represent what is actually happening. No? You are saying that it's built by someone. In the Hebrew 12 actually was say, every house is built by someone. And he who builds all things is God. That means design demands a designer.
Yeah.
That is emphatic. Design demands a designer. A law demands a lawmaker.
Yeah.
Poem implies a poem, a poet.
Yes, you can't have a poem without a poet. It doesn't happen.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes, the way poem.
And let's use this example. Ghana has said the amount for the job pie and your entertainment.
Yes.
We can't have rap songs without a rapper.
Yes.
AC.
Yes. So when you mean a song without a songwriter?
No, it doesn't even happen.
Now,
iPhone, can you get iPhone without the Apple company? It's
no,
not possible.
It's not possible. You can't have that.
Never possible.
I was saying, say for example we are abo na interesting on a beach na beach ho no na say anwea go bibi nti anwea no mu na hu say fit SCCC anwea no mu ayeko we hear fit no mu no and I realize the fit no it toes say finger fit in the print in a footprint na no there are toes there kind toes in 10 realize here nine na draw it's a deeper nine see obi different dey any ho to any share animu tetian who when obi any ho but based on the who form ho you can't just say from money born na from man ebobo e na hihye
we some finger we go come ankafo e me to go sha ankafo
very weird for someone to be thinking that way though you didn't see any person there and you might not be able to get the person to come back.
Oh yeah,
so I want to say hey okay nipa footprint in here and nipa number no me testify say no, you might not get the person to testify or come back, but the fact that you see a footprint on the ground on the shore on the earth imply that there is a person here wabesene.
Now preacher, wouldn't that also suggest that it is so big insist to say once a man from a near who knows one for a near who say obi ne den ne nine be bobo pa de enye nipa nine.
That is incorrect reasoning. See, that is incorrect. Looking at the evidence, you can look at the evidence. I read nipa nine and dinner or footprint now. Oh major. You see, he did it in so marvelous. Say there are dimensions for a lot of things that possibly you just overlook. Mini ni say obetime nya nipa ne nan ye size 1. You realize for the say when you pan 9 at the second mine. You see, you can't see that.
It's not possible.
You see, say crama the nice what now you might see, you might look at it and say, no, wait there, ain't nipa. Clearly, you can they make that distinction. Say, no, we ain't nipa. You see, you can be looking at the dimensions and things for upon further studies.
Even I said. Akoko de ne nan esi onso omo cementi baby fufuro na sa akoko de ne nan bebom na se kraman de ne nan bebom a unim akoko mpo na unim kraman mpo obebi won say these are two different friends.
Yes, indeed. For instance, the person is just closing his eyes or unwilling to accept the evidence.
Say no say no, you betima kan Bible say nipa ni ye fool.
Yes.
Psalm 14 verse 1.
Yes. So did him. And
because the evidence is so clear.
It's so clear. And then Romans chapter 1, I catch it and say, we have no excuse.
Clearly seen.
It's clearly his invisible power and his attributes are clearly seen in the things that he has made.
Okay.
So that they are without excuse.
Yeah.
Say, well, Nyankopon didn't give me enough evidence. It is so abundant that design that exists in this world demands a designer. It demands a designer, and there is no explanation for that. There is none. Say, if you are able to establish that there is a design inherent in this world, then it means there has to be a designer outside this world. You see, there has to be a designer outside this world, and that I'll say nipa or that's why we are trying to use illustrations to explain to people. See, when I say watch now we are on beach are making I buy now watch it down. You see, you pick the watch up, watch watch now, watch time exactly at the abo. When I say watch now, watch is pretty. A create time abo we are time no pepe na abo. And a designer be when I say be a designer watch lay down. You look at the watch, it's working, everything is working. You can't just say, well, a poisson from man and a boy, then it starts assembling out. Because watch, we know a complex design. There are GS that have to work right.
Maybe you cry, I'm saying it's me cartoon the boat.
Come. I say, when a set here, you see, if you are setting, I'm a copper person here. When you set here, man, call everything is working.
I didn't know it's before when someone entire so
good. All these things are things that we see in the world, and those things we don't question them. When we are seeing our question, we will start thinking that you are not in the right frame of mind. If you are a dream, or down,
and there was anchor. So anyway, advocate yeah, chicha for because. Bebre reasoning
yes. And you see, it's simply because nipa mpese obekura nyame wonim dim. It's in the book of Romans. Baby I can kind nipa mpese obekura nyame wonim dim. So they don't want to look at the evidence. You see, they don't want to look at the evidence. And there's clearly Romans chapter 1 it's like reading the daily newspaper. And then when newspaper now anyway, it's clearly the Romans 1 nipa mpese obekura nyame wonim dim. Bibi Romans chapter 1, verse number 21.
Verse 21. Because although they knew God, they did not glorify Him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened.
21 to us.
22. Professing to be wise, they became fools,
to us,
and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, and birds and four-footed animals and creeping things.
In your say, onim nyame de, onim nyame onim se nyame wo hwe nyoma a onim nyame de na so wan pese obeyi na ye. No anya obi obeda na se. Na wasesa nyankopon sunu ayese obesom aboa mu. Now verse number 28 no. Verse number 28.
Verse number 28.
Yes.
And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over.
Also on person obekra nyame wonim diemunti. See, the evidence is so clear, but these people don't just want to accept that there's God. The more interesting thing, I think that I did a screenshot of my phone, but I don't know whether maybe I'm last time now the Facebook now we check it Facebook messages there. Then I chance on something Ubi as a Facebook now almost sponsor money Ubi tribunal post it. There's an institution, I've forgotten the exact full name, but the idea about I'm realizing one day I say extraterrestrial life and a creative nipa.
I'm afraid UFOs.
Aliens.
Yeah, aliens.
And a nipa nature say, do you want to know about the one who created you? The one who cannot those things. So I'm just looking at it times now. See, the person, they don't want to accept that there is a God, a being that created the world. And therefore, the person will argue that aliens rather created us. Aliens, they're referring cartoons.
And then Nitia is
those are the things that people want us to believe that they are God. But because the evidence is so clear. Hebrews 12, the Romans say, one person will be crying and may will need the. So the things are at times people are arguing there's no God. It's simply because they don't want to retain God in their knowledge. They don't want to bring God in the equation. Because a God will equation anymore. Then a lot of things have to change. Now we have to restrict on certain things that we are doing. You have to now restrict to the book that is being given by God. Someone or the many person depending on Nipa also depend on sadness. But Nipa person brain as soon as then let's take God out.
Does that explain the reason why we have a lot of people attacking the Bible almost every time?
Yes, that explains it. That the Bible, and not just even the Bible. Look at the Bible. The first 11 chapters of the Bible are the most attacked and vilified passages in the whole Scripture. The idea is that if they were able to kick that out of the minds of people, say, well, there is no God, there is nothing like Genesis, there is nothing like in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, there is nothing like that. Then they have essentially dealt with a whole lot of issues that we can think about. Everything is now based on your preferences. See, just I think a week or two ago, I was reading some article here, and they were on, I think one of the U.S. newspaper published said, U.S. They are struggling with the issue of gender. Yeah. And they were asking the question, gender, is it biological or choice? Is it the right? So your boy baby, and then you choose, well, I want to be a male, I want to be a female, or it's a biological assignment.
To back that up, there's a tweet on Twitter right now that is heavily, it is trending. Usain Bolt. He right now he has given birth to twins. Congratulations to him, 2 boys. And on his tweet, he tweeted that like he was thanking the wife and thanking people that he has 2 twins that are boys. And at the comment section, the slander people are giving to him and they insult. Why is he determining the gender of the children? It's a human right violation. And I was like, really? That is where we are reducing humanity to.
Yes, it's simply because that is the basis. It's a sad state of affairs. It's a sad verse in the Bible anyway, but it's a sad state of affairs. Man don't want to retain God in his knowledge. But yanko evidence in the same.
For say unsua de na media musia de pa wa hana. Na me shall be brave.
See,
Romans,
yes, we have read that passage, but the yanko idea very tangible. Maybe we can all lay our hands on. Since design demands a designer. So the question should be, is there design in this world? That is the question I think we should be trying to answer.
One.
Yes, trying to answer that. Is there design in this world? Say human body in any example. Let's take the human body as an example. First, so a skeleton. The human skeleton. Essentially, any adult human being has 206 bones in the human body. That forms the bone. I think a crown were around 300, but as we join, then you have 206. I think 28 are in the skull region. 28 and a be a cha. Can compare way yes, lumpi.
Okay.
Yes. Now, the India made this neighbor say, an amazing design in this sense. See, Unipa be anywhere on Nambiasia, Ukra, Greece. a onama no de gu ni no bim no de gu no bim
na oil na eboa ma
onipa bi na onama odi saa no ma ne gu ni no bim but look at it for years and years ye wo eno lubricate itself echi edi ehihihihemu na etwitwitwia wo koto na wo sorry na wo tenetene wa pom wo tenetene wo nsane na all these things that you are doing but your bones and twitwinya until say sound be make is simply because it has its own generated lubrication. Take for instance a door na hinge so
epono ne nsa ha no no
not ne nsa na echim no but say epono ba bia ye dia pem dan no see bo say na do bia bobo hinge bi mu etene ene boa epono no eti epono revolve the door revolves around those hinges. Good. Say ebo ho sa for years na you increase no what happens you start hearing sound what you realize that it's just telling that it needs grease but years and years and years upon all that your bones don't the body has a way of lubricating the skeleton that we have, the bone that we have. It has a way of lubricating it so that it can function and do its work well. Look at car for instance. Car needs an oil because there are gear system and things like that. So one part oil and gumwa, diesel oil and car oil and gumwa. We say car na kasa konwa which na wear out friction, wear out and things. It will cause so much problem. But look at the human body. The same skeleton. You see, take for instance a steel. So steel a brick here. Steel brick here. You have to now wear so that think about it. Nipan kasa ye bone when it breaks a bua knam kasa e bua the ya ne say ye kesi enini achichire wo ati a show pop that is the idea kesi enini achichire eno we yi ne enini afem with all our brilliance and all our technology intimi nye steel eno repair no intimi nye steel eno repair no but the human skeleton has the ability to heal itself. Say okay see a new katu and the ability to heal itself. That is how powerful Nyankopon aye nipa. And that should inform us that there is a tremendous design inherent in human. Nipa ya namono. There is someone who designed us. We didn't just come in from monkeys. And jump for monkey na monkey no fi we mu fi am fi
ye be do ho no ama wo bie mu a kire pa
because there is inherent design in ye ni pankwa. Don't even look at outside and things there, just look within yourself. Skeleton, the human skeleton, very powerful. All these things depend on your skeleton, and that is how Unyankopon aye say our skeleton and things that we are making are very powerful. But another example, possibly it will throw more light on idea. Okay, take for instance the eye, the human eye. See, so what one notice here, you have noticed. It's not even one notice here. It's everyone is
clearly seen.
Why I won't say wow, not tears. You feel tears constantly. But the tears not better when you say. It's not just because of anything. The tears is there, it has some bacteria fighting organism, microbes in there that fights against bacteria and things like that. You know, when these tears have the ability these tears has a cleaning system on its own. Camera say we clean on it.
Oh yes, one password.
You come around and not scratch number goes. That shows how tremendous humans are. Nyankopon I design in such a way say one kasa with tears unisuo na kasa akokoro so. Bacteria ne mo a ekwo kotoso ne na bi nyina akokoro so an kasa yifi bi ade bi ebe hamo woni ni bia yifi ho. Look at camera na me no camera se. You see, so we try photo now the focus the camera now. You realize that first in time past the cameras that they made now you need automatic focus. You have to adjust it, try and even with the current phones that we have now, it has automatic focus, but it takes a while. At times, we check phone, we check picture, we realize that the picture that took at the so I would say I don't know, blur, or why check a crown, son, applique, then it becomes clear. That is the focus. You see, the phone has to adjust so that it can meet the focus. Now, am I a brighter, clear? Not what make it correct. That is phone. But look at without all that our technology, this is how far we have gone. But you see, the human eye also have a focus. Say who are there? Say me share there with him here. Na me mama ni say me share there with chira. Automatically na at switch ekwa achire ho.
Otimi blur bibie wo wenim bia he no nko a.
Yes, automatically and the speed of it say it will be captured is so enormous. You won't even notice it. You will notice it. After when any person focus, after any person focus, try say focus. Now no, it doesn't do that.
I think that idea put the man the entire man for be iPhone.
Yes.
I think that's where it comes from. Because say obifa me offer object be say na o the two any na okasa wo hwe we ya. All of a sudden I said the way chiri na abla bi sa no. After wo hwe the way chiri na say the way nim no. Very beautiful pa.
And with all that technology, we intimi match the human eye. Intimi match the best cameras at our disposal cannot compete with the human eye. The human eye looks at something, all of a sudden, and it picks it up without you adjusting your focus. It just pick it up. It picks up automatically. It also has an automatic adjustment of the intensity of light that enter your eye. Then your eye intensity dilates, constricts. It constricts. It adjusts itself to allow in light intensity. It gives in for the right proportion of light to enter. All these things are things that is telling us, informing us that these are designs that were made by the designer. Look at it for instance. Say when in year 2. So cover back here. What's that? Back on it to at the crowd perception.
Yeah.
You can see exactly everything. Good. Sounds now cover back on it can see exactly everything. It doesn't mean that cover back on the half. No, it doesn't do that. You see everything.
So I mean no more many sabi or many year back on. They are able to still
and the issue is that anything in our shot there, those two images that is created is overlapped in the brain. A toss of a pepper. You see, and a toss of backroom and your blade. No, backroom betra backroom and wrong overlap. A toss of pepper. Two in our shot there, it all pick information, the same information you are looking at. But the same information that has been picked up by the two in it overlaps. It overlaps. Emma. No, so amazing. But I mean, some interesting article here. I think I found out on the internet. Now, on the article, he was commenting about human eye. Mamenya clear on exactly what the article is talking about. Talking about vertebrate eye. Okay. See, as you invertebrate and your vertebrate.
Yeah.
Good. Now, okasa about vertebrate and invertebrate eye. Now, main kind assemble a scientist be Troy. This is what he would. This from Williams. He claims, Williams claimed the retina is not just an example, but one of the best examples of a poor design in vertebrate that proves the blind watchmaker created life and not an intelligent creature. I mean, trying and expanding what the article is talking about. The issue is the human retina or the vertebrate retina. Retina is
a vertebrate, nipa ne more bones.
Yes,
okay,
that's
backbone.
Backbone, those things.
Yeah.
See, human, your retina here, I just say camera, your film. It's your film. Retina is a film. And film, no, vertebrate,
film no me ba ma minchire mu kaka enkwara o se enkwara na afi no mu ba no omo si ma me minchire che o ase okay ye ka film na tete no na ye wo sa omo mu twa pictures no o twa picture ni wi a film ni ya de bi a ehhehye camera ni tete se eclipse be ba yes yi ne ko dina abonti ne fa chire soro ne fa hwe yes sa film no se omo twa picture ni wi no mo de akono ma kwa horo omo ko horo pe obo se no menya original picture na be no ye frɛ no film na no ho asem na o kan nti say unhu bi da my church mo husa onto mo amu ma de kro nti ubeti ma to aso ama yemre no konti
yes
na ye de
quickly I will just run over this and maybe see sa yeah rectangle or a film how you might call it is inverted backwards there say baby a osaka a chire wia no adane I to say for say solar panel you see solar panel on your cells solar cells cover solar panel so and sans baby a cells no and na e dia chire ewia that is the best our designers can do. The engineers now living now design solar system or solar panel. So the solar panel glasses no ebe hwe wia but the back no na baby a cables no man connecting no. Good. But yeah human being yeah vertebrate there retina is turned inside out. That means the backward is facing light source. Ana baby a cells no kasa no hwe akiri. So the evolution is and well, they are saying that's a poor. That is why I want to comment say, well, that is an example of a poor design. That means that it has to be a blind watchmaker, not an intelligent designer. But
Dan back and so make it comment.
Yes,
say a poor design.
Another quote on that same when our article now some back will be kind. So say Edinger concluded that the vertebrate eye is like a camera with a film loaded backwards. The film they are done. If an engineer at Canon designed a camera like that, he will be fired.
You best kill him.
That is the idea. But that is how the vertebrate eye. But it's amazing. Say this how an design eye and done the sound. And so still that is what we are seeing with our best cameras can do. And God has a reason why designing this. Say he has a reason why he made it that way. It will give us precisely what we want. With all the design, it's functioning. The human eye, say you see, I'm turning it, rectangle, the form near backwards. With all these things, the human eye is functioning best than the invertebrate eye. Invertebrate eye like octopus, their retina is turned inside. And then I face it to say the form, I face it in. But I'm wanting to say the with the morning, but it's just telling you that he knew exactly what he wanted. That is why he made it that way. And the human eye, as I said, cannot even be compared with our best cameras at our disposal. And that truly tells us and informs us that there is an intelligent designer behind our design. And that intelligent designer is God.
Wow. Order for we just tip of the iceberg because evidence no we to every cry and preacher abs watch Nyankopon ya aduma next week same time same show same TV station Chariot TV YouTube Facebook ubenye o social media platform do na sa won be so me say discussion we ya mesro Nyankopon ya aduma next week same time 6 o'clock on Thursday ya no be hia na ya to ya nkomo no so God fact or fact. Now, near no behind next week, more evidences. Now, send you a design argument here. I need skeleton. No, who dream in a mission. Me did this also who's young na ultra note. Me one year share video in them quaff for no more son sentiment can no more son dear, no son share. Name one M45 your faith ye pa. If it's on Chariot TV, no, ye man is a beboa, no, son quadia no, to me. Edimu na yadi enkomo no AC hase no na preacher wo any last words bi adbe maya na Nyankopon ya adman next week same time because me say be a wodu ye no there be e was here more evidences pa na boa ye ma yetumi ehu sa ampa Onyankopon ewo
yo that's it me be twa to a me twen nipa dwe nyina gina so say Nyankopon but wa catch them say so nipa hwehwe ne kete ya obema na ye obema na hu. See Hebrews chapter 11 verse number 6 say Nyankopon say obia ohwe ne chi akwan ne kete na obey ne ketwa for he is the rewarder of those who diligently seek him.
Yeah.
And so nipa amomodin so obey hwe nyame achi akwan a Nyankopon so ohun nyame nti ye twe ahwefo ni na adwe gina so say omomodin say obey hwe Nyankopon achi akwan ma hwe Nyankopon som ma hwe Nyankopon nchechire Nyankopon kwan a wahyehyɛ ato ho Nyankopɔn kwan a wahyehya ma onipa sɛ ɔmɛyɛ Kristo ni nyinaa nipa nhwehwɛ na ɔnhwɛ transem ɔnhwɛ Bible no mu hwɛ sɛ Bible no ankasa yɛ kasa no deɛ ɔclaim sɛ ɔyɛ Nyankopɔn asɛm no ɛyɛ ɔno anaa na obɛhunu yie sɛ ampa sɛdeɛ Nyankopɔn asɛm no kyerɛ no saa pɛpɛ ana sɛdeɛ wɔka no saa na tie sɛ ɔyɛ Nyankopɔn asɛm ampa na megye di sɛ saa nhwehwɛmu no ɛbɛtumi aboa ama onipa atumi ahu nokorɛ medase
wei deɛ na yɛka sɛ Onyankopɔn ɔnhyira wo sɛ woka yɛn ho. I've been your host Derek Danso on this show Apologetic God, fact or fact. Same time next week. Yakro Bibia. God bless you.